Ooh. So this is Insurmountable. Have any of you played it yet, or is it just me?
I downloaded it, and then I think I opened it, and then I think I uninstalled it.
Oh, okay. So you got like most of the components of the experience. Then you're just missing the middle part.
The game.
I got the beginning and the end.
I've never seen this before.
I've played Life is
Yeah,
Strange.
it's pretty cool. So it's like I played Life is Strange.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a time loop thing going on. So yeah,
Okay.
it's like you got to get to the top of the mountain. So this is the mountain. You got to climb it up, and it's those little tokens that I'm looking at right now. Those are like events or like like the chest is the first one there. That's like you might find an item. I mean, you'll see in a second, but the sky beam it showed for a moment there. But there's like a sky beam at the peak. That's your goal.
Official.
And you get like these choices.
This isn't a treasure chest.
Is it like what's the gameplay loop? Is it like a roguelike? Like, do you fail and you have to start over, or
I
how
mean,
are you
presumably,
punished
but I
in this
never
game?
did. So
Oh.
I'm not I probably should have, just for purposes of understanding. But no, I'm pretty sure that what happens is you die, and it sends you back. It's got like kind of a time loop thing going on. Like that's the story here. So you're stuck in a time loop, and you got to get to the top of these mountains to figure out what's going on and get out of it.
Time loops is
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
the most easy mechanical justification for like reloading saves. I'm not gonna lie, I don't.
Yeah,
hate
it is.
I mean, I love Outer Wilds, so you know.
Yeah, it works out really well. You can do
Yeah.
the Prince of Persia approach, where it's like he's
wait,
telling the
that's not
story,
what
and then you
happened.
die, and he's like, no, that's not what happened.
Although I do wonder like how he managed to make that mistake when he's telling the story. And then I died. Oh no, wait, no, I didn't.
Oh, no. Sorry, just a little brain fart.
There's also some light amnesia. Part of the experience caused some brain damage. Or
You guys seen the-
in Persona 5, you're
Yeah.
like kind of half drugged as you're talking about it, so it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So you can see like the little yellow exclamation point that shows up. That's like a medium danger. You got little blue ones. That's like mild danger. Yellow is I got diarrhea.
Oh.
No. You just managed to pull your pants down in time to empty your bowels.
Mini game,
Wow.
like a quick
That's-
time event where you're like,
There's a game. There's a game called Don't Pee Your Pants, and
What?
it's like a comedy game, but like it's like a silly little like I wouldn't call it a horror game necessarily, but you're trying to like find your toilet in your house, but like it's gone, and then there's like quick time events that you have to do to like stop yourself from pissing yourself. Anyway, sorry, total non sequitur, but I thought that was really funny.
so this is kind of like a roguelike-y kind of thing. Like you get these like upgrades kind of thing. You get like experience point, and then you can get these upgrades that make it easier. But they reset at the end of every mission.
Okay.
Warm
So that's
thoughts.
kinda the way that
huh?
works, but-
what are you thinking of? That's
Yeah.
keeping you
Warm thoughts,
Oh,
women. Unless you're, maybe I don't know.
So actually, I'll tell you kind of what the core mechanic that creates nighttime now. So that makes it colder
wow.
and darker and stuff.
I saw some Aurora Borealis.
Yeah.
This time of year.
Must be up north.
So this game is actually like really tense sometimes.
Yeah.
I have to choose whether I'm going to kill the rabbit, for example. But it's tense because the challenge and the uncertainty of it comes down basically to how well you manage like 4 main resources, and you can kind of see them at the bottom there around your picture. It's like temperature, energy, sanity, and oxygen. And then there's like the red one underneath as like your health. And so what happens is kind of like if one of those other four like reaches 0, it starts taking health, like things will happen to your health that will hurt you, and then you die eventually, or you might go through like dangerous terrain and that could hurt you, or like a mountain lion might hit you or something. But so pretty much every step I know I totally stole that guy's stuff, huh? He probably didn't need it. So pretty much every step of this game that you take, you have to sacrifice at least something. So like right now you can see the energy's going down. because you're moving, right?
Yeah.
So you have to sacrifice one of the resources every time you do something, and then you gotta like, it's basically like a juggling game or like a plate spinning kind of a thing. Here's something that
Yeah.
can hurt you too.
This is a lot more compelling than I initially had thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually like
like
super fun.
Yeah, it's like the Oregon Trail, but
Yeah.
Mount Everest.
Yeah, that's actually a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, I like how some of the choices you can see how they affect your stats, and some of it say the outcome's unknown, so you have to kind of gamble a bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can see that little sun
like
that
the
just
ice
appeared where
there.
he was going. That shows that it's going to be daytime by the time he gets there. Maybe you didn't see it,
Oh,
but
that's cool.
you'll see that kind of
It's
thing
about to be
again.
day.
Yeah, like as soon as he gets to the top, it'll be day.
Doo-doo-doo.
So yeah,
I might have to try this. This looks really interesting.
yeah,
Actually.
yeah, it's fun. So you gotta, yeah. So basically, it comes like I like that mechanic of like juggling those things because that makes it like tense. Like everything you do is a decision. You're like, do I go more direct and maybe die, or do I take like a longer place or like a longer route, but like it might take more energy or like temperature or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, right now it's showing you like you got to choose whether you're gonna sleep with a tent or without a tent, and there's like trade-offs there because you can only use the tent like 3 times before it's used up. I guess I'm a really intense sleeper.
Yeah, you really roll around.
This tent is messed up. You can really set your route like way ahead too. Like check that out.
That's crazy.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
given how it's a blizzard right now, 10's probably a good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather changes and that creates new kind of challenges too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So each of those blue exclamation points on the ice are an opportunity for things to go awry.
Yeah, the blue ones are like mild, like there's a low risk of danger,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yellow
you'll see
is-
red ones eventually. Like they're like the really intense ones.
Gotcha.
But yeah. That yeah. So
I love the way
I
this
just
game looks.
you always. Yeah. Isn't
It's-
it pretty?
It's really it's
It
yeah,
is
it's
pretty.
really really pretty.
Yeah. Wait till you get to
I like
the
the
top.
hexagonal based system.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the design behind all the hexagonal. How everything's in that design and spot.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. It's generated too, by the way. Every level is it's generated,
Oh.
so you're never
Okay.
gonna play the same mountain more than one time.
Do you feel like this is the sort of game that like you could get a lot of enjoyment out of playing multiple times, or did you feel like by the time you got up to the top, you were like, yeah, I'm satisfied?
No, I think I was kind of done. So let me tell you one of my grievances. I actually wrote down a note here. The main reason I will probably not play this game again is that it just kind of lacks novelty after a while. Like the mountain climbing is actually like a really fun mechanic. Like great stuff, you know. But like the events kind of start repeating pretty quickly. There's not a lot of variety in them after a while. I can't help but think that like if there was like more writing, like if there were just more types of events, or like if the characters were more like, so there's not really a whole lot of characters and they don't have names. Nothing has a name. The mountains don't have names. The characters don't have names. It's just like mysterious stranger is like the one person you talk to. There's no like challenge or conflict between the two of you. It's just like a mystery. You don't know what their motives are, but it doesn't really matter. There's like occasional interactions with other characters, like on the mountain, but there's not. I don't know. I feel like if there was like a story that was more like character driven going on, you know, behind here, like here, I meet someone right here actually, and you can see how it's going to affect my sanity to wake him up for some reason, but he just goes back to
The
sleep,
guilt
so it's
you
all
feel
good.
from
But yeah, like you even have 3 different characters to play as yourself, but they don't have names either. They're just called the adventurer, the journalist, and the scientist, and they never like talk to each other or anything. So
Do they start with
just-
different stats, or what's the?
yeah, they got like different
Different
skill
characters.
trees.
Okay.
Is the main thing. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
can see it.
seems pretty.
Isn't it pretty? It's kind of fun too. Like you can't really see everything. Like this is as far
Yeah.
out as you can zoom the camera, and you can't like
Oh, that's
pan it or
cool.
anything. It's like locked to.
Oh,
the,
I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Kind
I like
of
it a lot,
limits
yeah, it's
your
cool.
your planning ability because your information horizon's kind of really, yeah. close.
Yeah. But it also means that when you get to like the top, you're like, whoa, like everything
Yeah.
opens up.
I actually
So-
like that. I feel like I would be overwhelmed if I could see everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it
Playing it all from the get-go.
exactly. Yeah. So to see something bad there happened, I think it just hurt my leg. So, but yeah, that's I like the camera. I think the camera's kind of cool because it's a simple, like obvious mechanic. Like, oh, like what if you couldn't see forever? Which seems obvious. Oh yeah, nobody can do that, so that makes sense. And then but it's actually like, I don't know. It means that the accomplishment of getting to the top and having your view open up after being like stuck in these crevices and stuff. That's a big thing.
That's a big deal, yeah.
It allows the game also to kind of maintain this more linear path between the simple land masses rather than trying to have like an omnidirectional.
Yeah, that's true.
I just feel like it'd
I
be
think it's
kind
a
of
great
overwhelming if you
limitation.
could see the whole mountain, because then you could plan your whole perfect route, instantly and
Yeah.
spend the
Yeah.
whole time. That's something I like about. I don't know. It can be a little daunting to me when I'm playing a game and I can make a plan that lasts like 30 turns ahead. I kind of prefer when I only have so much information.
Yeah. Yeah, I like playing strategy games. Strategy games
Stretchy.
more suboptimally a lot of the
Explain.
time, just because it's more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
see.
think
The
it's
red means
most games.
main-
I don't know. Whenever somebody points out what the optimal strategy is, it's like, well, that's cool and all, but I want to have fun.
Yeah.
But shut up. I remember someone told me a trick for Crusader Kings one time that would have been like a huge advantage, and I remember being disappointed that they told me that because I don't want to know that. Like that makes the game less fun if I can game it that well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, it's
especially with
more
a strategy
expensive.
game where the whole gameplay loop is figuring things out and, succeeding and failing and finding the best way. Once you know the best way, it's half the game there.
That's true. It's kind of like it's a weird kind of dichotomy or conflict between you want to get good at something because that's the challenge of the game, right? But also like if you get too good, then you've beaten it. It's no longer kind of fun,
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that
Like you were
nap
saying,
didn't
you-
work. Look at how tired he's going to be when he gets to the bottom. That's because he's going to be exhausted.
So that's what the red is like you can't go this way because of certain limitations.
It lets you go. It's just like way more likely that something bad's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you got to do it. Like I've done it before. I've had to. Yeah, exactly. It's going to deplete one of your meters or more. So you can see like now I'm kind of struggling. Like I've got my temperature's really low, my sanity's really low, and my energy's not so great either.
Yeah.
So
Could this be the
I had
end?
a can of beans and that'll tide me over. Could this be the end?
I can't because I already know you make it.
Every time, yeah, I never died. Yeah.
I
Oh, here's
like
my
the
moral
little animations.
failing here. I find a bear cub
A bear cub.
with his dead mom.
Oh. I mean, what are you going to do?
Let's see what I do.
See ya, chump.
Carry it with you?
I just left him.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
You climb
what
inside
else did you do?
climb inside
Come
the
on,
dead
buddy.
mom like a tauntaun.
like Star Wars.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside. On the outside.
The caves are great. Caves are where you get to take a nap. So I was always looking for another cave
Mm.
to get, kind of get your temperature and your energy back up.
It looks like the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. There's like
Yeah.
basalts, however you say that word,
Yeah.
columns.
Oh.
Yeah, it is like this entire mountain's made out of basalt columns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drove past some the other day. They were really cool looking. They look like this.
Really? Wow, that's pretty sick.
That's wild.
So this sun is like a wonder. Like if you get to the wonder, it's like good for your soul.
Ah.
Good for your
Willing to rest
sanity
your
and stuff.
exhaustion
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
wonder.
You could click on the
I-
top if you can see it, by the way, and just try to like muscle through. Like if if I were to click on the peak right now, it'd like plot a route out there.
Like,
Wow.
That's really
this
funny.
might kill me, but if I get to the top, it'd be really cool.
Be the way I play this game. I just click the top, start, die, reboot, click the top. Until I have
Over and over
map
again
that-
until it works out.
fully rely on RNG. Just
yeah, the gameplay itself.
let's see if the fates allow me to survive today.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
boy, I
actually a
wonder.
really funny idea. I should do that and see what happens.
You
But
just
yeah,
go with
I
the
mean,
sun.
a way to add some kind of novelty to the game. That you feel like you figured out already.
Yeah, and like a lot of the more interesting stuff happens when your meters are like at the bottom, like when stuff starts like
Sure.
getting bad, like the sanity stuff goes down and you start like having really freaky hallucinations and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Nice.
And
Do
Yeah,
you
it
feel
was,
like this is the sort of game that when you're playing it right and you're playing it well, no matter like how well you're playing it, your bars are always kind of low, or do you, or like in your experience, like how was it? Like, did you find that it was more like ebbs and flows, or
do you mean like was it more optimal or like was it more fun? Like when the
Well,
bars
I guess
were-
I guess like in general, like through the process of playing, I don't know, because like there's some games where it's like, I'm trying to think of an example. There's some games where no matter how well you're playing the game, it feels like you're always struggling to survive, just because
Frostpunk.
that's like the nature of the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was playing Frostpunk, and Frostpunk is
That game's mean.
this like that game's mean. Yeah, so it's like like there's a rare opportunity and a rare moment when you're like actually thriving, and most of the time you're struggling. Is this that sort of game, or do you feel like if you like it wouldn't take much to actually be thriving for most of it?
I think it wants you to be struggling. I just was playing on easy mode, and maybe I should have done a harder one because it would have been, more interesting. But also, I didn't know that it was as novel enough to really hold my attention through that kind of challenge. But I think it wants you to be struggling, because I think that's where the most interesting stuff happens is when you're like on the edge of survival.
Yeah. So
So-
you've charted a course to the top.
But
of
I,
the mountain.
yeah, you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've got like this is the second mountain. There's like the main missions and the side missions. Oh, here's my buddies I just talked to. They came back.
Strength
Nice.
recharge.
Buddies.
Buddies.
Yeah, I feel like this would benefit from some more crafted narrative.
I completely agree. Yeah. Just like, and then you get back to your base. You'd like buy upgrades and stuff at your base and whatever. But like, I wish you got back to the base and there was like people to talk to and like story to advance other than just like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of just like a checklist. Like the story doesn't really justify these mountains in any different way. There's nothing really distinct about the mountains. I guess there's some mechanical differences between them, but like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now you got to do it again, and that's basically the justification it gives you. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Yeah.
And the only reason you're going to get there is because you can see the whole game on the map when you start. You're like, oh, okay, well, there's 3 mountains and a bunch of missions on each mountain. So
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny. I feel like Hades has kind of spoiled me for roguelikes a bit because it was like, wait, I can have a story and
Oh,
a
yeah.
and a randomized repeating game loop. Uh-oh.
yeah.
Now I kind of expect that
Oh.
from a lot of them.
And like the writing
Obligation.
writing's kind of the cheapest part, especially for a game like this where you don't have like acting, it's just text. Like
Yeah.
you could like churn out a bunch of new texts fairly quickly. I know that writing is hard and takes a particular skill set, but like in terms of like, I don't know, like I feel like, and I don't know what this is a relatively small studio. I don't know what their business is set up like, or what kind of struggles they have, or what kind of team they got. But like, I don't think it's a very big team. But I know that I was thinking just as I was playing this, I was like, dang, I wish they'd hired a writer to like just like even one writer or something just to like buff it out and make it feel like because once you got like they've got the everything figured out programming wise to have a story and everything. It's just they have to just plug in the text. So
Yeah. Like you were saying, how much it would help things just to have a name or to have,
oh my gosh, yeah.
And that could even still be kind of randomly generated or pulled from a pool of
Oh yeah.
resources.
Totally.
It doesn't need to. So much fun, like the names of your characters in Darkest Dungeon. They're just
Oh yeah,
thrown out there.
Exactly. Or XCOM.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, XCOM. I was gonna say you just grow to care just because they are named.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter if his name
Yeah.
is
Like
you know,
if
something
Darkest
random.
Dungeon was just called Next Dead
Yeah.
Adventurer 2.
Or they were just numbered, or yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's just they don't have. You're right. Yeah, man. And in XCOM and in Darkest Dungeon, like that was like my favorite part of both of those games was getting attached to my team, my roster,
Yeah.
and having the names helped a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Darkest Dungeon also like really leans into it and makes their like personalities kind of dynamic and they change.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
XCOM, it's really
over
just a
time,
name on a...
things happen.
You have
Character.
to choose to level them up, and so if you have a high level character that dies, it hurts so much more. Than,
Yes, that is very painful. Yeah. Oh yeah, and in XCOM, Nick, you're right. Like it's mostly just a name, and then I guess also you get the added benefit of like decorating them. You can like put whatever
Yeah,
hat, or you can
that's
like
true. You
customize
can-
their look.
Hey, and that makes such a difference. Being able to customize them, like, I don't know, I get so attached to them. There's a level
Yeah,
of
I actually like loved
personalization.
my team in XCOM.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Oh,
actually,
I have,
I was
like-
thinking I would love to do a video on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's,
do it.
it's so good. I remember moments
That's
in that
right.
game where I'd I had to evacuate, my spaceship had gotten shot down and we were like evacuating and I had to leave somebody behind. I don't remember, her name was like Karen or something generic. But I was like, oh my gosh, I lost Karen. She was one of my best. And then later on in
Yeah.
the game, the opportunity came to save Karen. And I was like, oh, you bet your butt I'm saving Karen. I made her look like a stormtrooper. She's cool.
I made her look like a stormtrooper.
That was about my justification. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess when you put something into the character, you get invested. Like you put time into making them look away, or like you put like skill points or resources into developing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you care about them more. You also kind of depend on them. In the case of like XCOM, like you got like, oh, she's my grenade person, or there's my sniper guy. Like,
Yeah.
I think my sniper guy was like my favorite guy. He was so cool. I can't remember his name, but he was like this awesome Japanese dude.
Mhm.
And man, that guy was awesome. Yeah, I still remember. It was like 3 or 4 years ago I was playing that game. I still remember that team.
Yeah.
Side note, I really like that in the characters screen in your inventory that the silhouette of your character kind of looks like Swamp Thing. Just next time it opens up, just look at the silhouette. I was looking. I was like, what am I looking at here? It looks like a swamp monster.
A new idea for a game. It's called
Yeah.
Insurmountable.
Insurmountable.
It's the same thing, but you're walking through a bog.
But you're
I
the
would play
cryptid.
that.
You're
I
like
love-
you're
I
like a
love swamps.
cryptid. And you have to
Yeah.
avoid
Oh, yeah.
travelers and hikers and
They just
Oh.
do this, but they do a Bigfoot DLC where you
Yeah.
play as Bigfoot trying to climb up the mountain. Avoid the humans.
Oh man, that's funny. Now I want to play a game where you play as like a cryptid or something like that, like trying to I
That'd
don't
be
know,
so fun.
eat people in their campsite but without getting caught or something.
Yeah.
Or like get
You do
blurry
look like
photographs
Swamp
taken
Thing.
of you.
Yeah, blurry photographs.
Yeah, see?
you're like trying to get blurry photographs taken of you.
Yeah,
Like you want photographs, but you don't want
Yeah.
them too clear, so you have to like make sure that they see you, but they don't see you well enough. You're trying to
Well, it's like
become
if
the
they
most
get
famous cryptid.
a clear, it's like if they get a clear photograph, that's like a game over or something.
Yeah.
But if they get no photograph, you're still alive. But if you get a blurry photograph, then you get like
Yeah.
a buff.
You get like a
guess the next-
reputation.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to like build your rep as the most infamous cryptid, and so like you want to be like as legendary as possible, but you don't want to like actually be discovered, or else the excitement dies down.
You get to choose between like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, or the Jersey Devil, or the
Yeah.
Mothman.
It could be like a multiplayer
Chupacabra.
game where you're all playing at the same time, and there's like a group of tourists, and they're like vying for their attention.
That's really. It's like Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
or
person's the cryptid.
what's that new influencer game they made where you
Oh,
where
yeah.
you
Oh, it's like Lethal Company kind of.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
like
was
the
just
Lethal
thinking
Company.
about that.
I have
That's
What's it called?
Oh, the death zone, guys! This is a death zone. Once you hit like 6,000
Oh.
meters, like it's just harder. Like it's colder. It takes more air to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Takes more
That's where you
energy.
start finding the bodies.
Yeah, that's where you start finding the bodies. So
Rather morbid thought, but if you were a cannibal and you were climbing Mount Everest, you would have as much beef jerky as you could ever need.
It'll be a little
it'd be like
freezer
a
burn.
like, yeah,
A little freezer burn.
it'd be like a bunch of like popsicles.
What is this game called?
What flavor is this popsicle? It's a overzealous
Tibetan.
American hiker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tibetan.
I swear I have that game in my Steam.
I know you
just
do.
don't
No,
remember
it's,
what
it's
I
called
can't remember what it's
something
called.
like
Content warning. It's
Spirals.
called content
Content
warning.
Content
That's
warning.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. See, now my sanity's going down. You see that I'm struggling with
Oh,
sanity
yeah.
here. That's why it's got that little thingy there. All right, where's the swamp monster? It does look swampish.
See,
All of like all
Wow,
the
you're
like,
almost to the
straps
top,
and stuff with like.
I
fur.
think.
Is
Oh,
it
never
the
mind.
top?
You're not almost to the
Oh
top.
shoot, it's way bigger.
It's
This is
quite
this
huge.
is the mountain climbing experience. I think that's the top. Oh shoot.
Yeah. No, never mind. How long does it take, like hour wise or duration, for you to get like from the bottom to the top, if you had to guess?
Well, this one was like 40 minutes, I think.
Okay.
There were some that were faster and some that were slower. Fortunately, I could do one or two mountains in a single session without, having to like get interrupted or anything.
That's nice.
But yeah, I think this was one of the bigger ones, and it was about 40 minutes actually. So, and of course, I was on easy mode too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it also depends. Like sometimes it just like it depends on the route you take. Like I wanted to go get a lot of these like side things, and
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoyed the tokens. Kellen liked the token. Kellen, my
Yeah.
son, was watching this, and he's like, "Get the coins." There's a coin over there. He would point them out to me. Yeah,
He understands the basics of game design.
Good.
he
man.
does.
Good 2-year-old.
Incentivize the player.
Raising him well.
You bring up something interesting when you're talking about like the length of these sessions, and I'm kind of curious what your guys' thoughts are on like roguelikes or other session-based games. Like what is a good session length? What is too long? I feel like when I play Hades, it's always like just right. It's just about the half-hour mark. Sometimes when
To
I'm
do a
playing
whole
like
run?
Risk of Rain, I'm like, I finish a run, or I die most of the way through a run, and I'm like, I don't want to spend another hour, like doing a whole other run right now. I'm just curious what like your guys' experiences are with those.
Oh,
Dead Cells, it's like
I
freaking
felt
5
like
minutes before I
Hades.
die every time. So I don't know.
I really enjoyed the duration. I enjoyed how long it took for Hades in particular. I thought was really good.
Hades is
What I
so
really
good.
liked about Hades was it felt like at the end of each run it was a full and complete, and like obviously like with the nature of like roguelikes, each run is different, but Hades in particular, because of the fact that there was some narrative going on, and there was always something. I was like, it was more than just like with Risk of Rain. It's just like gameplay, which is fun and
Yeah, that's
super
true.
exciting. But with Hades, I felt like at the end of every run, I'd not only had a unique gameplay experience, but I had a unique narrative, or not a unique narrative, but a narrative experience,
Like you
and something had
progressed
changed and
things,
something had
yeah.
altered.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so whether it was like 30 minutes or it's been a while since I played Hades, so I can't remember how long.
Yeah.
But there's a second one, and it's coming out, or it is out. But
it's in early access, which
Yeah.
for Super
Yeah, I'll
Giant is
probably
like
wait.
a proper game.
I've played the second one. There's a lot of content to it already.
yeah. Oh man. But yeah, I thought that was a good length. I really enjoyed that. So I always felt like 30 to 40 minutes per run. I always felt was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, roguelikes always they kind of have that thing, unless it's like just kind of a really short run, not a whole lot of forward progression beyond that. The idea is the game gets faster as you get better at the game, right?
Yeah,
Playing something like Hades, maybe it takes you a while to get to Elysium, so it
Yeah.
seems like that's a long time, but you keep dying over and over again to get that progress. And but then eventually you get to a point where you can run the entire thing in 30 minutes. So it seems like when you're finding that time for roguelike, it's when you're at that point
Yeah.
where you're just doing runs over and over again to find that forward momentum and more of that progression. Because sometimes there's some like long form roguelikes. I don't know, a game like Returnal where it's actually pretty long to get through the entire game, but kind of as you go through it, you find shortcuts, you find quicker routes. You don't have to fight every single boss every time, and so you're finding quicker routes to get through it. But that initial thing is a pretty steep hurdle.
Yeah.
And if you just wanted to do the entire thing long, so it's kind of that optimal time in that stage of gaming where you're just doing the runs over and over.
Yeah.
And I think about 30-40 minutes is.
Yeah, I think having the ability to pause in the middle of a run is also nice. That's something that Risk of Rain, I think, bothers me about. Like, I cannot sit down to play Risk of Rain unless I have at least an hour. Like,
yeah. You need to set aside a whole chunk of time for that.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, so I've only played like Risk of Rain like one time, but I wonder like what would stop them from adding the ability to do that. Like, is it just like so nonstop that there's just not a place to stop?
Oh no, you could definitely pause.
They definitely are, yeah.
They just don't include that feature.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of,
it's because it's mostly used as a like an online game, played online co-op.
I see.
So games that have online features oftentimes don't have a pause, just similar.
Yeah.
A thing with Risk of Rain too, though, is the time you spend is kind of a resource, because the longer you spend on a level, you might be able to get some more resources, but then the harder the difficulty gets. So I think a game like that, having a bit more of a variable time window, could go a little longer. Like, I think that's part of the part of the gameplay loop, part of the story.
The experience, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like if you wanted to just rush through Risk of Rain, like I guess you could, but you'd probably.
Yeah. Well, it also has timers actually on its boss fights. So like even if you rush through a boss fight, you still have to wait for like the thing to charge. So it's got like an actual in-game timer that prevents you from making progress. I love Risk of Rain. Don't get me wrong.
That's true.
The heck out of that game. I just
adore
it's
that game.
It's on my mind sometimes when I think about like roguelites and time stuff like that. So not to turn this into a Risk of Rain.
That's so interesting that it has a timer that doesn't let you finish until you've waited for the timer. Is that that's the way that works? Is that it's like
so you kill the boss. So you start up the boss fight, and what happens is there's this bubble that you have to stay inside, and you stay inside that bubble, and the percentage of the teleporter works up from 0 to 100%. Once it gets to 100%, you can go to the next level. But no matter, even if you kill the boss in a second, you got crazy OP and you got all the best items and everything, and you kill the boss in a second, you still have to wait until that teleporter finishes charging. And there are items you can get to make it faster, but or there's one item you can get to make it faster, but you still have to wait no matter what.
Yeah,
that's so interesting. Is that like a do you know what function that provides? Like what's that? What that does?
The way I think
because it probably has to load the next level, right?
Well, I think it loads pretty quick. I think part of it is the way that difficulty works in Risk of Rain is the longer you're playing a game, the higher the difficulty goes. So like every few minutes it ticks up a difficulty level. And so like if you're playing too fast, maybe it doesn't get hard. I'm not sure though, because that game also lets you become really overpowered. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
But then you get in this really fun
you're at the top.
Yeah, you're at the top of this mountain.
Yeah. We're about to reach the end of our journey here. Although, I think at the end of this one, you actually have to go back down. But I didn't record that. We're just going to watch me get to the top here.
Are you going to have a realization about yourself and then fall back down the mountain?
Push the rock off. Push the rock off.
It's some sort of religious, spiritual experience.
Push the rock off.
Push the antenna off.
Tower.
This is like where the story progresses. Is it's like
Ubisoft tower at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And it reveals all the tokens.
Yeah.
You go collect them all.
and then you fill in your map like a Ubisoft tower.
Yeah. And then that's where it wants me to go to finish the.
Oh wow.
There you go.
The thingy.
That's kind of wild to see.
So yeah, that's how that
recommend
works.
it.
That's the game,
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I might have to try that out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
It's
quick. I
interesting
beat the
to
whole
see,
thing in
though.
like 7 hours, I think.
that ain't bad.
Mhm. It's interesting to see though. There's definitely like even just from watching it, I'm like, okay, I can see how this would be fun one or two times, and after that, I could see myself not playing it again.
Yeah, I think I'm done. Just
Yeah.
because it just not much novelty to it after a little while. But like it is fun to like get a handle on the mechanics and figure out how they work and get kind of good at it. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. It's got some fun ideas. It's got some really fun ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I definitely I think that in terms of like generated in terms of generated world or the actual like hexagonal, really fun. That I think that's really clever.
Oh, yeah.
I think the generated story sounds boring, kind of, but the actual terrain is really fascinating, and even just like moment to moment, just like choosing where you go looks
Yeah.
fun. That was my favorite thing about Death Stranding was like it sounds kind of boring, but in reality, I actually had a blast playing that game because it was just plotting your course and then sticking to it and trying to figure out where to go next was so much fun.
Yeah, I should really try that one sometime. That's the other big walking game.
Gosh, it's so long. There's so much talking.
Oh my gosh.
Also-
that's the
walking
biggest
and
problem with
talking
that
game.
Yeah,
It was
walking
they
and
never
also
stopped.
very long cutscenes and
Yeah.
Kojima
My father-in-law
being
wouldn't
Kojima.
play The Witcher 3 because there was too much talking, which I feel like The Witcher, like the talking is like why you're there, you know? But-
Yeah, I feel like I play it
Yeah.
in spite of the combat.
That's true.